What's up, everybody? It's Dustin from DC Media, and today we're going to be disassembling and cleaning the Corsair Strafe RGB Keyboard. Why would you do that? Well, in my case, spilled some Mountain Dew on it. Got some sticky keys, and need to take it apart and clean it out. Now, I already did some cleaning prior to this video, and disassembled it and whatnot, put it back together. So it's not as dirty as it could be, but we're going to go over it, and we're going to get some ideas on how we take it apart, how we clean them, and maintain them. You don't have to have just a spill on it to keep a keyboard clean. Now, some of the things you're going to need depends on what you spill, how much of it you spill, and if you're just trying to clean up a spill or just maintaining the keys themselves. So some of the things we're going to be needing are, if you're just keeping your keyboard clean and you're not worried about cleaning up, say, soda, coffee, whatever it might be, just a bowl of the hottest water you can get, because it's going to cool off as you're using it. Some Q-tips, which you'll dunk into the into the bowl and then apply into the mechanical keys themselves, and that's how you'll scrub the board. And if you are utilizing, or if you're trying to clean up some soda or some stickier residue, instead of using water, we're going to use some isopropyl alcohol. Nothing major there. And we're going to use the Q-tips again. We'll just dump the Q-tip in, and then we'll drip it in. And I apologize. I do have a brand new son, a lovely kid. He's only 3 weeks old, but you might hear him crying or grunting as he is now. I'm not sure if you can hear that on here, but you might be hearing him from time to time in the video. So for that, I apologize, guys. But he is, like I say, he's a newborn, and he doesn't really care if I'm videoing or whatever we're doing. He's going to interrupt all of it. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the video. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the keyboard itself. We're going to check some keys, see if they're sticky, look at the backdrop of the keyboard. In this case, it's white, so it's easy to see if there's any debris or buildup down there that we need to clean off. And as you can see, the keys are a little sticky, so we're going to go ahead and flip this over and take out all the screws. Now, with that in mind, there are 13 screws in the back of this keyboard. There are 11 that are visible and 2 under the rubber feet. So we're going to remove So we're going to remove all those screws. Once we have all those screws removed, we're going to flip the keyboard back over, and it's simple as popping off the top. Now, before we do that, there are 2 keys that are membrane keys at the top right of the keyboard. One will be for your LED or light brightness, and the other one is to lock the Windows function. You'll need to pop those out first. After you have those popped out, you're going to find a corner that you feel like you can work with. A prying tool is best. You could also use a flathead screwdriver or whatever you can get into the keyboard. Just be mindful that whenever you use a screwdriver or anything metal, you have a chance of marring up the aesthetics of your keyboard. So this whole top plate, it feels like it's really on there. And you do need to be careful because it's easy to break tabs. But it's just tabs. So if you go through, do a little bit of prying here and there, and be mindful so that you're not just trying to rip it apart, it'll come apart pretty easy. And once you have it apart, now you can see the entire top half of your keyboard. The keys are still there though, but you can get a better idea of the layout of the keyboard. Now we need to remove all the keys. So Corsair, as nice as they are, provided us with a key removal tool. So we just use that, pop off all the keys. Now, one thing to note, while you're popping off all these keys, you probably should take some pictures if you're not familiar with how the key layout is on these keyboards, so you can ensure you get all the keys back where they belong. And once you have them all removed, you could use something like a strainer or anything like that that's going to allow water to flow through it, and go ahead and run them over, run some hot water over them, clean them up a little bit to get the sticky residue off of them as well. That doesn't normally affect the functionality of the keyboard, but it'll keep you from having sticky fingers or sticky keys on the top side, and it just looks a lot cleaner when you have it back together. Now, to note also, if your keyboard is clean and you just have some sticky keys from maybe, using it all the time, maybe just something fell down in there, just normal wear and tear, you can pull the keys off by themselves. You do not have to take the entire keyboard apart. So if you do all these steps and you still have sticky keys, you don't have to pull the top plate off. You can just pull the keys off and redo the cleaning steps. So once we have the keys removed, now it's time to go back through, check all the switches to see which switches we really need to focus on cleaning. And I clean them the most. So to cleaning, all we're going to do is take a Q-tip, stick it in the isopropyl alcohol till it sucks up enough to where it's actually got a little bit, not quite ready to drip. So just kind of brush it off on the edge, so that way you carry it over. You apply it on the tip of on the key, or on the mechanical switch rather, and you're going to want to go ahead and rub around the outside surface while depressing the switch. So that way you're breaking down any of the buildup that's on the top of the switch, and when the alcohol actually seeps into the switch, it'll finish cleaning it up for you. Just go ahead and depress that switch as many times as you can. Just keep pressing it repetitively, and that should break up whatever sugary residues you have at the bottom of the switch, and then the alcohol will evaporate on its own. Now, with alcohol, you can usually use your keyboard within the hour, depending on what kind of alcohol you're using, what the breakdown is. Typically, I like to wait 24 hours. If you're using water, you're going to want to wait about 48 hours to make sure the water is nice and dry before you go plug your keyboard back in. Now, once you go through all your keys, do the same method, and even the balancing mechanisms, they can be cleaned like this as well. So if it feels like maybe your space bar is still sticking, but you pull it apart and the switch feels fine, it could be the balancing bars on either side. So be sure you clean those as well. Use the exact same practice when you do that. Just get a lot of alcohol or water base inside the switch, and make sure that you depress it. You get the switch put back on, depress it several times. It'll help break it down. Now, to note, if you're using isopropyl alcohol, you could be breaking down the fluid or the liquid, which is an oil base that's inside the key to keep the key working and actuating properly. So if you feel like there's a bit of a resistance after a while, what you probably did was using the alcohol, you broke down that oil too much. So you're going to need to go ahead and replace some of that. And they do make a solution for that you can purchase and applicate it in there. But most of the time, it's not a problem unless you're just going way overboard. And in which case, hey, if that happens, it's no big deal. These keyboards aren't cheap. And the only other thing to note is when you're doing your maintenance on your keyboards, be mindful of all the openings where water or alcohol or anything could fall down into the PCB below. Anytime you're getting something on a board, you want to make sure that you know it's there, and you make sure that you're waiting the proper dry times. While having water or a liquid inside a switch can be fatal for the switch itself, or maybe just the LED, having water on the board could be bad for the board and even bad for the computer in certain situations. So be mindful of that, and that's all you got to worry about. Now, once you have all these steps completed, you're going to reverse engineer it to exactly reverse the steps we just did. So you put top plate back on, flip it over, put the screws back in, put your feet back on, and you're good to go. Now, if you come back to your keyboard a day or so later and you're feeling a key that's still sticky, you don't have to go through this entire process again. Like I said earlier, just pull the key off, go ahead and redo the steps for cleaning that particular switch, put the key back on, and you should be good to go. Typically when I do mine, I might find one or two keys maybe I didn't clean just as well as I should have. So I have to redo those steps for those keys. But hey, it beats buying a new $150 keyboard or however much you paid for yours. So with that being said, guys, let's get to the conclusion of the video. So as you guys saw, that is how I go through my keyboards. I do that for maintenance. I do that for cleaning up for spills. I try to avoid using dishwashers and things like that like other people have done. This is a far safer way of doing it. You know what's getting wet, what's not getting wet. You know what it's going through. So these are my steps. Yours might be different. And if you have a different keyboard, it's going to be the exact same process, but the screws might be located in different places. And the way you pop off the top plate could be different. Just remember though, if you're just cleaning the switches, there's no need to take the top plate off. Just pull the switch off, clean the mechanical switch, and you're good to go. If you have a membrane keyboard, then the switch cleaning or the membrane cleaning is entirely different. And hey, if you guys want to see that, why don't you like this video and drop a comment below and let me know that you guys like to see that video, and we'll find a keyboard, because I don't own any membranes, so we'll find a keyboard and get it cleaned out. Maybe go to a thrift store or something and just buy some really nasty keyboard and clean it up for you guys. But with that being said, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and if you didn't, give me a thumbs down, and make sure you comment, let me know what I can improve on. So with that again, guys, Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.